Hey guys, we're live on the moon. It's Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, June the 26th, almost 3 a.m., guys. Another all-nighter for Bill. And I wasn't planning on coming out tonight, but by damn, the moon was giving me some angles that looked pretty interesting, and I'm really glad that I did. Uh, as you can see, we're looking at Tycho at 9 o'clock. And the shadow line has started. The last time I was with you was on Saturday, the night of the supermoon, and we've given the moon enough time to roll back into Terminator, uh, which is probably the correct designation. I call it shadow line. And I'm currently using my Panoptic 19 millimeter all the way out, no zoom, no autofocus. And before I go up and show you what exciting things I'm going to show you, I got something up there that's really going to be exciting. I just want to kind of I'm going to be concentrating on the shadow line, and I wanted to go to the left side of the moon and kind of work my way up just in auto mode, let the brightness overpower, and let's kind of give this a decent overview survey. You can see at the 2 o'clock the Mountus Apennines, and at the 9 o'clock off center is the Schroeder Valley and Aristicus and the gold mines. And then let's work that image a little bit. There is to do that because it's so bright, but I deliberately not put the moon filter in. And you see if I turn down the exposure, you can see that there's a lot of color up there. But that's not what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to concentrate on something up here in the area of our Ferret. I have a new friend in astronomy. Let me back out on the color. Sometimes you get to the edge and you have the color up. You get a false color. I don't like to show the false color if I can help it. Jim Hansen out of Connecticut is an astronomer of 56 years, and he has a tendency to tell stories of, isn't that beautiful, guys? Let's just pause to reflect. I got my iced tea. I'm going to just take a sip. No, it's not. It's not Starbucks. It's Jack in the Box iced tea. I had to have some iced tea before I did this, so I went out and got me some fresh iced tea. But that is a pause to reflect, to refresh view. It's a beautiful view. Jim has a tendency to have so much intelligence in this area because he knows the history of the moon. I ordered some books, and I'm going to get smart. But one thing in particular that I've heard about before, I can't give you the names of the dates, but there was a great debate in the past, in the past of the history of the moon, where they discovered a bridge at the mouth of the Ferret, and by damn, guys, we got a shot at the bridge. Now, Jim will tell you it doesn't exist because NASA says that. That's fine. But uh, I'm going to show you this bridge, and is it a natural bridge or is it an alien bridge, and did it crash down? Okay, let me see if I can put autofocus on, and I'll center it, and then I'll do some adjustments a little bit. Pretty much centered. Pretty much centered. I'm going to back out a little bit, and I'm going to manually focus it right now, just for grins. See, I have this it's a JMI focuser. On my telescope. And then I have autofocus. I'll click it on right now, and I'll just leave it there for a second. See, pretty much centered. There's right, you can see the two eyes of the ferret on the right, and then below that you see the whiskers of the ferret. See the whiskers? It kind of look like little whiskers. Right to the left of the whiskers is the bridge, and if you look close enough, you'll see. If you look at the whiskers on the top, you'll see the bridge stick out from the top to the bottom, and then it kind of stops. There's a gap, and if you look at the whiskers on the right side, to the left of that, it looks like it's clearly another part of that bridge that was and you can see it's sticking out. So you can see that this was a fallen bridge. That something caused this thing to fall. And this actually was an area of great debate. And of course, NASA had to get involved, and they looked at this and said that there's no bridge there. But see, and if there was, it was a natural bridge. But old Bill, you know what he says? He says that's an alien bridge of ancient archaeology from the artifacts of the past on the moon. And show signs of an ancient civilization on the moon. And every one of you astronomers out there and scientists are cringing and saying, Bill, you're full of shit. I mean, you're full of it. Well, maybe I am. Sorry, kids. There's supposed to be a clean show here. But I'm kind of getting excited about this so-called Mare Crisium bridge. And I think this is the first time I ever really got a good picture of it. And I knew I might have a shot at it because of the shadowline when I was looking at the moon from my porch. See, I wasn't going to go out because I didn't think there would be too much interesting, but this is way interesting. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, just because we can. I'm going to put this on pause, and I'm going to put in a. I'm going to back over here to the middle, and I'm going to put me in a Barlow, a 2.5 PowerMate Teleview Barlow that marries up quite well with this panoptic lens. Hang with me, guys. Putting it on pause, we're going to take a look at this natural bridge that NASA says does not exist with my Barlow. See you on the backside. Okay, I left it out of focus just to let you know how close it was. I didn't touch anything on the telescope. And now I'm going to focus it in. So I can put that Barlow in, and it stays pretty close, true to where it was, and it also stays pretty close to focus. And see, I have this zoomed all the way out, and there's no vignetting or anything. And with this Barlow, I have 15 steps of zoom, guys. See, if you guys would pay attention to what I'm telling you, you could put yourself together a whopper of a rig. I know it might be a little expensive, but it does. There is I don't know about this telescope and everything. It's a real unique telescope, but I'm marrying it up with some unique, expensive lenses. For example, now take a look. Well, let's not tarry. I'll get into that in a minute. We're seeing some detail that beats all. Now look there. There's our bridge. See it? See the little whiskers of the ferret at the 3 o'clock, and then to the left of the whiskers is that bridge sticking out. Now, got all this zoom. Let's see what we can do. It'll get fuzzy, but let's just go in and see what we can see. Well, that's getting close, guys. That's getting pretty damn close, and you can see the. Now let me turn autofocus on and see what it'll do. Jim calls this scene. Scene is the atmospherics where it waves back and forth. And there are, see how it's focused in there. Look at the detail. That's I'm going to turn autofocus off and just do it all by manual. See, when I have autofocus on, sometimes it will jump in and out, which I'm just trying to get the very best. Let me work the focus again, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a shot at it here, and then we're going to come back in about 10 minutes and look at it again, because you can see the shadow. The eyes are almost out. And let me turn autofocus on again right now, real quick. See, the eyes are kind of disappearing. And again, I'm looking at that area to the left of the whiskers. And you can see a gap. You can see what appears to be a bridge on the top, and then something fell in, and then you can see the bridge, and you can see it kind of sticking out, and then on the bottom. Damn, that's a good picture, guys. Although the focus is still. Before I leave this, I want to give it my very best shot at focus. Anyhow, Jim was calling what the astronomers refer to as scene. And scene is the distortion that you see. And you can see there is distortion caused by atmospherics. Now let me back out. As we back out, it should get clear. And those little matter of fact, let's zoom all the way in. I'm going to count how many steps of zoom we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 steps of zoom. You astronomers out there, why in the dickens don't you get this C910, marry it up with a 19 millimeter panoptic teleview and a 2.5 power made Teleview Barlow, and enjoy some of the most stunning high definition video that you've ever seen on a screen. Now let's kind of look. Let's kind of move around a little bit. We're going to get that shadow line move, and I just want to kind of look at some of the area now, because we are getting in pretty good, and it is not very distorted. We're getting some out. Look at those mountains, guys. Just look at that mountain range. Let me zoom in a little bit. I got one area I want to see. Right there, centered, that crater that kind of has a little tiny crater on the top. And just for a sec, pretend you're a little Tom Corbett space cadet, and you're right in that crater, right below that little tiny crater. You're in that crater that's centered, and it's got a kind of a gap on the bottom, and you're walking around on that plane, and you're looking up at these fantastic mountains, and then you walk south, and then you kind of turn on my screen right and go through another gap and go up there. It looks like a cave, you know, it's just a crater, but it looks like a cave, and look at all the let's try to focus it a little bit better now. That's pretty good. And you can see the granularity, and you can see the ridges, and this is high adventure, guys. If you're any kind of astronomer, I mean, this ought to just make you want to get out there and do the moon. I mean, what in the hell are you missing? And look at this modern technology, what we can do. And you can put this thing on your, I'm recording. You have to realize, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Look at that. I got to look that crater up. Just give me a second, guys. And okay, just a second. That crater on the big crater that I'm admiring is Atlas. And Atlas crater is about 87 kilometers wide, which is 40 or 50 miles wide. But look at the detail around the edge. Let me turn autofocus on. Hercules crater is the one to the immediate left of Atlas, and it's 69 kilometers wide. I tell you, that's some incredible imagery. Okay, let's back out. Now I'm looking at this with the 2.5 Barlow with no zoom. And again, every time we go in on zoom, you know, you're going to see some Look at the detail of those mountains. So isn't that beautiful? And since we're here, let's go and look at the line of demarcation. On the top, we have the Sea of Serenity with its kind of a brownish tinge. And below below the line of demarcation, we have the Sea of Tranquility. And if I turn the color up just a dab, you can see the intense blues. If I turn the contrast up, you can even see it more. And brightness down. See, the brightness and the contrast both affect the intensity of the color. Okay. And I'm going to turn the, I'm going to, now with it like this, let's go over and take a look. Again, see how the eyes have disappeared kind of? You can see the whiskers. And I'm going to zoom in now, because every time I give it a little time, you can see the shadows changed. That gap, though, right there is what they call there was a debate over that natural bridge. They called it the natural bridge. But old Bill, you know, he's calling it ancient archaeology on the moon. Antediluvian. You have to admit, I have a hell of a sense of humor, and I enjoy this quite a bit. And I hope that the enthusiasm rubs off on some people so that they might get interested in astronomy. In particular, astronomers get interested in astronomy again. There's a lot of stuff to look at on the moon. Let's just kind of work our way down along. This is an interesting shuttle. And look at the detail kind of coming up in center. And let's just see if we can identify these craters. Let's go up. If I go up, there's a larger crater. Okay, the crater at the 7 o'clock, that large crater at the 7 o'clock is called Fractorius, Fracastorius, and it's partially underwater, as it were. Now let's go down. See those two craters coming up at the 7 o'clock. They're kind of a double crater. They're not really a double crater. The one is called on the top is called Medius, and the one below that is called Ferret. Now, I'm trying to Rixus to the snake bridge. It's going to be to the left of that. But it's not in the shadow, so there's no detail. It's coming up on center. pretty much on center, as Rick just, but you know, there's just no details. I told you before, the key to enjoying the moon is if you stick to the shadow line, and let me tell you a little bit about this shadow line, this terminator. The terminator on the moon, anytime you go out and look at the moon on any given night, this terminator moves. And on that particular night, the moon will not be in that position again for another 18 years, guys. So generally speaking, you can get it's a different shot of the moon every time you look at it. Something's different. Isn't that beautiful? And there's Tycho. And yes, there are ancient antediluvian cities, quite a number of them, in Tycho. And if you don't believe me, just go to my website, www.billbryson-astronomer.com, and search for Tycho, and I'll show you pictures of them. Those are some remarkable photos right there too. And we're going to work our way. Let's zoom in here. It's just interesting. I've got quite a bit of zoom. The scene is pretty good. I mean, there isn't that much you know, when you get in there. Now that's a really excellent. You can look at the detail. Let's zoom in on that that gravel bed or whatever. It's just and I think for this telescope, you're seeing about the limit. You know, when it starts with the scene the way it is and everything, when I get in this close and it starts getting a little fuzzy, I mean, I could put another Barlow on there, but it's never going to, that's not going to bring clarity. It has to do with the focal length of the telescope. And that crater right there, kind of centered to the right, that little crater to the right is called Meissner crater, named after a French astronomer, Charles Meissner. But what's interesting about this crater, and let me turn the brightness down, or I guess the contrast, is the impact area on this crater. See how it kind of swoops out to the left? It's not, see, it's only on the left side. And it was a low impact, and it kind of, the ray then went way to the left. It's kind of interesting. And we're back up in Tom Corbett area. Matter of fact, I know I'm going to shut it down here in a minute, but I want to zoom in one more time. Right below the Mare Crisium, that area right in there seems real interesting. Let's just zoom in and see what we can see. This is part of an area that I call and so you get in too far and then you can't really, it's part of an area I call canyon lands, and I call it because there's, see, it looks like there's box canyons, see, centered, and it goes to the right up, and you know, it looks like a bunch of box canyons. Red Rock Canyon, it's like you're in North Dakota and you got a bunch of canyons and the cowboys and Indians are running around there. Okay, we're going back up here to the bridge, as NASA would say, to the natural bridge that doesn't exist. And I, I for one have to admit that, I mean, I'm proving that it exists. I mean, you can't say it doesn't exist. It looks like a fallen bridge, and it looks like I've heard one person. I read, I think somewhere, that it's 12 miles long, and it looks like that gap in the middle that fell is like a mile or two, and so that whole bridge, that length of that thing is like 12 miles, and if anything, have proven that there's a bridge there, or it once was. And you can see kind of how it sticks out there on the bottom, and something, the gap in the middle. So you can see how these early moon gazers of the 1800s could, readily see that there was a bridge up there. And old Bill, he thinks that's a sign of a lost civilization. Okay, that'll give you something to chew on. In the meantime, wishing you and yours clear skies, guys.